Question number 4. Are there treatments to assist autism? Unfortunately, there's no actual medical treatment or cure for autism. It's a combination of therapy, behavioral work, and the correct professional medicine. So every child or adult with autism has unique strengths or challenges. Each intervention plan should be tailored to address the person's specific needs. So that's why it takes a lot of paying attention to behavior, progress, how they're developing, a lot of observing the child or adolescent or adult to truly know what plan is going to be best. How are we going to bump up these cognitive skills? Some things that you can do, again, behavior and communication approaches. Behavior therapy, that's what my brothers go through a lot, and it's helped a lot. Dietary approaches, believe it or not, and my mom actually does this with my brothers. Your diet affects a lot, can really ease an autistic individual's mood, their hormone balances, keeping them healthy and happy and in a good body, and medication. Question number 5. I'm very close with my nephew who has autism, and he's about 9 right now. But usually my family and I see a lot of progress in things he learns, whether it be a new skill or something at school he learns, and he'll show it off in a way. So I guess my question is, did your brothers reach a point where they weren't necessarily progressing as much? And how do you get over that if they have? I think about this so much, like consciously and subconsciously. So my brothers, are nonverbal. I do remember a time where my brothers were just like skyrocketing with progress. They were more verbal. They understood when you asked them to take a cup to the sink. They were being able to tell you when they needed to go to the potty. They even started to try and say my name. My name's Alexandria, and they'd be like, Alania, Alania. So cute. But I was like, yay, exciting. Kind of like when a baby, is taking its first walks, its first steps. And then I distinctively remember moments where it felt like there was no hope. I think about, will I ever get to talk to them? I'm probably never gonna get to talk to them. Do they even understand who I am? Do they understand when I say I love you? I cry about all the missed future, and I'm in pain for all the missed opportunities and who they really are inside, and that they can't express that, and I don't really know that. And when it feels like they're not making progress, what do I do? Is there always gonna be like an anchor on my heart? Yeah, there's always gonna be that weight. There's always gonna be that anchor, but it's always gonna be the thing that keeps me grounded. When I encounter those times where I feel like I don't think they're making progress, I don't know what the future's gonna be, I don't know if they're gonna develop anymore, I stop. I ask myself, so I know you and your family are loving, and I know that he's loved by you guys. It's gonna be hard if you reach a point where you're like, I don't see that moving forward. And so the way that I try to cope and deal with the thought of the possibility of no more progression, I think back and I'm like, are they happy? Are they loved? Are they alive? Are they breathing? Sometimes we have to remember that. Sometimes we get so wrapped up into, I want you to progress, I want you to learn, I want you to come on. We're trying to push them to normal. And sometimes we have to just accept it for what it is. That's who we have in our life, and we love them, and we're gonna see them and feel them and accept them. That's the one thing autistic individuals are so good at doing, is feeling and sensing. And I know he feels and senses you. So all you have to do is feel and sense him back. And I promise you that is more progression than he'll ever need. Also, talking to him all the time is gonna be great. Human connection and conversation, like, people really underestimate it. Like, it is really vital for developing. Question number 6, appropriate terminology. Someone would make a big deal about it and say things were offensive, but would never say what the correct terms were to use. We don't know if we don't know. I'm all about respect. You're right, you don't know if you don't know. And this is why I want to do things like this. This is why we need to ask questions. And this is why we need to have an open conversation, right? So just like a lot of other topics in society, titles and labels and names can be very touchy, right? You know, gender pronouns, relationships. Just like people have a fleeting amount of differences in how they'd like to be addressed. The same occurs for the autistic community. There are two sides to that community, give it or not. There's nonverbal autistic individuals and verbal autistic individuals. There's a big percentage of autistic children and adults that cannot actually speak up for what terminology they prefer. And so most likely their medical diagnosis is always referred to. For example, like my 2 brothers, they're nonverbal. Like, they can't be like, hey, I don't want you to call me low functioning. I don't want to be developmentally delayed. Like, just call me autistic. Now, if they had a caretaker, like my mother or I, if we had an issue with it, we didn't want to be called a certain thing, okay, then that's who you take it up with. For example, my brothers, they're low functioning and they're developmentally delayed. So I've always described their autism as such. I recently had someone in the autistic community get upset at me because I used the terms low functioning and high functioning. She felt like it diminished her place in the autistic community, which is completely valid. And like, I could totally see that. Low functioning, high functioning, does that mean low functioning needs more care than high functioning? That kind of thing. I totally understand that. And I acknowledged the feelings, and I was like, I understand. And I would never refer to her as a low functioning or high functioning ever. I grew up knowing my brothers as low functioning, and as my immediate family, that's my terminology I use for them specifically. There is a huge spectrum of autism with many different diagnoses on that spectrum, with many different labels to it. Everyone has a different experience with autism, and some people have no experience with autism. If there's a worry about saying the wrong terminology, honestly, if an autistic individual is verbal, have that conversation with them. Let them know that you want to respect and understand who they are and who they want to be looked at. If an autistic individual is nonverbal, then have that conversation with their caretaker. If you don't know, you don't know, so find out. And how do you find out? You'll ask questions, right? What I will say is that no one, absolutely no one, should ever be using the word, I can't even say it, this word right here. Nobody should ever say it. I get so infuriated by it. Like, it's not a joke. Other than that, just respect each other. That's all. Alright, closing statements. This person said, not a question, but I love the advocacy, and I think it's really important to educate people that autism isn't an illness. Yes, 100 times yes, period, poo. Autism is not an illness or a disease or a quick joke for somebody to bust out. Autism is just another walk of life. That's literally it. I don't understand what the big deal is. These are individuals that are still humans. They're some of the best people in my opinion. You can see how I'm getting hyped. Like, I love my brothers with all my heart, and it has been a rocky, hard journey, and they have given me ups and downs and hoops and loops to jump through, and lesson upon lesson upon lesson. But guess what? Always a blessing and never a burden. And you know what? They truly are earth angels. They love like no other. Protect them at all costs. Love them at all costs. Every single person a part of the autistic community. They're just people that deserve to be talked about. They're people that have faced injustices that deserve to be talked about. Just like racial injustices, just like sexual injustices, just like crime injustices. They deserve their recognition too. Because people have been just as shitty to these group of people. So don't, and spread love. Okay. Peace, guys.